Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is actually the first edition of Real Life Decisions. I call it JHU edition. My name is Ramon. I'm your host. And I have with me today an absolutely wonderful person I met on campus. She may not know it, but she has pushed me to do some things I am not always comfortable with doing. But she yielded herself to what God called her to do. I see her live the life God would ask every day. And I'm absolutely proud to have her here. I'll have her introduce herself. This is my first guest today. Her name is Soliana Teshome.
Yeah.
And she will give you the rest of who she is.
Thank you so much. That's so encouraging.
No, it's real.
So encouraging. Wow. Hi, my name is Soliana. I'm a senior here studying public health on the pre-med track. I'm originally from Minnesota, but somehow found myself here in Baltimore. A very different place, different life, but I've enjoyed it a lot. I met Ramon through gospel choir, actually here first in the mail room. And
picking up packages.
Yes, exactly. I met him picking up packages. We had a couple conversations, and I remember one day him mentioning gospel music, and like that just planted a seed in my head. And I'm part of gospel choir, and we were looking for a new what's the word? Advisor, yes. We were looking for a new advisor. And we were like, who could we have? Like, just thinking through things. And I remember that came back to mind, that idea of you mentioning gospel music and how long you've been involved in it and you being a Christian. I was like, let me ask him. Let's see how this goes. Let's see what this could turn out to be. And thank God you were so receptive and so eager to do so. And in this last, I think it's now been a semester and a half or almost a year where it's been like you've been so encouraging. Every time you come in, it's been so encouraging to all of us, and it's been a blessing. And you as a person, there's so much wisdom and so much, like I genuinely mean that. In any conversation, you poured out such wisdom to all of us. So
well, to God be the glory for that. I can't take no credit. I only know what He tells me.
Amen.
And the thing is, once He tells me, I'm obligated to then tell somebody else. But this is Soliana. Now, I'm actually just found out she gave an introduction that she's from Minnesota. I've never heard that, but it's an interesting fact. And again, I definitely thank you for being here. It is a pleasure, just especially for this to be my first one.
Oh.
I kind of get my I get to get my nerves out in a comfortable place. So this is good. So I'm just gonna ask a few questions and see, how much of yourself can we find out about in the next few minutes.
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of feedback from like your peers and your students. And one of the things I've heard a lot is once I kind of share the idea of what I want to do, they say, man, it would be nice to hear some of my fellow students' stories.
Yeah.
Which lets me know that there's not a lot of socializing going on. Everybody's kind of in their own zone, because the few I've heard from were actually encouraged. Oh my God, that's cool. Like I would love to hear about this person or that person or just anybody else.
Yeah.
That's willing to be transparent and vulnerable for a few minutes to just kind of expose, who you are. You're a senior.
Yes.
Your major, you said, is health.
Public health.
Public health.
Yes.
That's gonna matter. That's gonna matter. Yeah. I've actually heard not rumors, but like if you watch some of the political stations and websites, there's almost a guaranteed another pandemic coming eventually. So your role may be big when it comes to that.
Yeah, who knows?
What is, before we really get into it, name one interesting fact that the average person does not know about you.
An interesting fact. Let's think. The average person. Maybe that I'm a first generation American. Yes,
That's what I'm
yes. My family's from Ethiopia, so
Okay.
I was born here in Minnesota, but my family's from there. My grandma's still there. A lot of my family immigrated over, like a couple, probably within the decade before I was born.
Okay.
So I do have a lot of family here. I've been back to Ethiopia a couple of times, and it's like the culture is like that's what I grew up around. It's a big part of my life and stuff like that. So that's something.
You didn't go, yeah, okay. That's actually an interesting fact. It's not something the average person would even assume. So you're first generation American here. So I can presume, or what's the collegiate family history like? How does that?
Yeah.
You know, what role do you play in? Are you starting a thing in your family, or are you kind of following maybe one auntie or somebody's footsteps?
Yeah. So it's an in between. My parents don't have any formal education here in the U.S. Or back in Ethiopia either. But I'm like the first one to go into college. I have a sister who's 33. She did a bachelor's, but I'm the oldest of like the set of cousins. Outside of that 13-year age gap. Right. And so I'm kind of like, it was for a long time was a big deal because it's like, oh, she's one of the first to go to college here. Like all my family has been so encouraging about it. All my aunts and uncles, like for graduation, I'm so grateful I have so many people around me that are like going to be like aunts and uncles flying out and stuff like that to support me. And it's a very surreal feeling. So I am like, I have an aunt or two who like studied nursing. I think one aunt who studied nursing. I have my sister who went to college. Not sure what she studied, but she's a stay-at-home mom right now. And I have two amazing, really cute nephews. They're so adorable.
You look like a favorite auntie.
I love them so much. It was so great. A lot of the years since they're 4 and 2, I've spent here. So like lots of FaceTimes and stuff like that. But I am kind of like in that category of like the first to pursue college in this way and like pursue even like higher education past that, hopefully with med school. So it's a interesting position to be in.
I mean, it's absolutely something to be proud of.
Oh my God.
Just to achieve it, to be the first to do a thing, because see, when you decide to persevere through a situation like that, that's a chain-breaking move. It breaks a chain, or it even starts a chain. Whatever the case is, you're changing the projection of where your family could even end up. Just being an inspiration to those younger cousins, and they say, "Well, your cousin Soliana went to Hopkins." I mean, you're not that you have to do something, but it's not. We know now that it's in you to go and achieve and succeed at some things. Was there any pressure? Like, I have to do this. There's no way possible I could fail. Oh my God, I'm the first one. Everybody's looking at me. How do you, I'm not even gonna ask if, how do you handle that pressure? Because I know it's there.
Yeah, I would say in some aspects, my family's been very like, it wasn't necessarily pressure to like do huge things, but always a stress of the importance of education. Like the role of education and the role of in my life, but also the freedom that it can bring. And so I've often had conversations throughout my life with my mother or father, and particularly my mother always saying like pursue your education, work hard, just continue on that path, because you'll have the opportunity to do things that you care about and enjoy, rather than having to work to have to provide. And that's often, that is the position my parents are in. And I'm so grateful they work as hard as they do, that I can do things like this, and that they like encourage me through all of this. But so in that sense, education was stressed throughout my life for a long time. But I think eventually that became something I untook. And I think through my life, I've really valued the concept of education. It's eventually was something that intrinsically became a drive for me. And so even my parents always remind me when I told them I wanted to be a doctor for as long as I remember, honestly. And so, and I asked my mom, was like, what did I say I wanted to be as a kid? And she'd be like, for a while. Like I've known you said like you want to be a doctor, and so they always remind me. They're like, this is not a pressure on like we put on you. You said this yourself.
Yeah.
She reminds me that often.
Yeah, see,
she's like,
that's good. That's good.
So she's like, this is something you chose to untake. Like we don't want to like pressure you into this.
Yeah.
You don't like. It's not a burden we put on you. This is a path that you chose for yourself. But she said it in a lot more of an encouraging way.
Oh,
but
I got you.
But there are those pressures that I put on myself, and especially in being in an environment like this, and like trying to fight comparison and all of those kind of things. Because this place is an interesting place at times.
Look, most of my experiences are right here from the mailroom.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's still an authentic experience.
Yeah,
I'm still
100%.
getting exactly who people are, how they are. But that's good. Okay, so you handle the pressure. I kind of took out of that. You handle the pressure because it's something you embraced anyway.
Yeah.
This is kind of the way I want to go. So whatever comes with it, I'm just gonna have to kind of roll with the punches and succeed. Yeah. Either way.
And to add to that, I feel like maybe how I deal with it, maybe I didn't get to that part as much, but it's more that it's honestly God who's helped me through this. Like I can't imagine having to go through all the hardships that school can bring, and I feel like at least college is I think we were talking about like a very transformative time. And for me, faith has played a big role in my like strength and continuing to pursue. Like I just feel like there's so many times that without the role that like and the encouragement I have in like my Christian faith, that I would have like I don't understand where I could have found that strength and hope, because like at least for me, I truly believe like there's only so much as humans that we can do. There's only so much I can bring to the table. I'm flawed, I struggle and all of these things. So I think faith, the role it's played, it has given me more strength to do what I need to do, and encouragement, like fuel. I think fuel is what I think part of what allows me to handle the pressure is that encouragement and fuel that I find in faith, and that has taken form in the people around me, straight from the word, and my relationship with God. So I think like that's also a big portion of how pressure, I've been able to handle pressure throughout these 4 years so far.
I will say that I expected you to say that. Because that's, I know you from the mailroom. I know you through God. Okay, so when I met you, that's one of the first things I identified you with. And it's crazy you went there, because that was actually my next question. Being a Christian on a college campus in this age range, with the pressures and everybody's doing everything. Everything is being done.
Yes.
How does that affect your relationship with Christ? Like, or how is your, well, you kind of went into it. But, I guess a little bit more about being a Christian, whether you see it as easy or difficult, whether you see it as kind of like a single choice you made and it affects the multitude of things that you experience. Like, how does Christianity look as a true believer on a college campus?
Okay. I think one thing is I can build up some context. Like, I like truly accepted Christ for myself in early high school, and before then I grew up like culturally Christian, but I never really understood or received the faith for myself. I didn't really go through, like, we didn't go to church throughout high school, but I started engaging a little more in the faith, and a lot of that was driven by, like, when I was younger, struggling with a lot of anxiousness and stuff like that. And one of my friends during a time mentioned that faith helped her with it, and I was like, okay, I've heard of this faith thing. I've been around this faith thing. Like, let me try this myself. And none of it was instant, but it eventually, like, there was this hunger that was built up within me. And like throughout high school, I started attempting to engage in Christian community. So I helped lead a Christian club at my school, and I didn't go to church at the time, so that was kind of my only community in that sense and outlet there. And it was a big public school of like 1,000, and there was maybe 15 of us in the club, and so it was a very small minority in that sense, and I was still learning what it meant to be, I don't know, be different. I don't know if that sounds strange,
be
but
set apart.
I think the faith calls us to a countercultural lifestyle,
course, yes.
and a countercultural thought process. And it's sometimes it just takes time, especially when you're younger, to learn what it looks like to actually walk that out, and how we interact with others, and how we stand true to our faith. And so high school, that was kind of that experience, learning, processing. And I towards the end of high school, I had that desire to be in Christian community. That felt like something I was like, oh, this is a thing. There's space to be like with other believers and go to church and have that consistency. And so I applied and almost was like thinking about going to a like all Christian college, because that was something I deeply desired so much. But eventually for a long time, I felt like I was being led in the path of medicine anyway. So I was like, hey, Hopkins, let's see what happens. And I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea, especially in such a quote unquote like scientific place, which now I've come to understand science and faith don't really have to, they're not separate things. Not separate, exactly. And it's a way, science is a way we can discover God's creation. I remember hearing someone say that, and I was like, oh, wow, that is like such a good way to put it. And I came here and I was really able to find Christian community in abundance. Thank God. It was so amazing. And there's like so many organizations on campus with people who are believers, and coming here, that was played such a big role in my growth. And so being like in universities, a Christian fellowship, or like joining gospel choir, and then just God bringing so many people into my life that share similar beliefs, but come from such different backgrounds. So there's just like this enrichment of culture and faith. And like, I think on the large scale, that's kind of what helped so much, was like the community that I had in it. For the first time, I was like, wow, there's people around me who want to learn and grow in the ways of Christ in the same way that I do. And we can empower, encourage, and like correct each other on the way. Like just being that for one another. And so that was so helpful in the beginning. And I think really started a fire within me even more, and like was just continued fuel. And I don't think I've grown in my faith as much as I have in these past 4 years. It's been crazy, insane. But as for like the everyday, I think it really is like an every single day decision. I've been talking to my friends about this. Like,
it's intentional.
It's an intentional, and it's challenging at times. Like every single day, I have to choose God. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I was literally having a conversation with my friend about this last night. But like, I've like the phrase of like, I have tasted and seen the goodness of God. Like I have, and I know there is. For me, I truly believe I can't go back from that. I know
there is no other way to live.
I just, the beauty in being able to experience God's love and purpose and joy, like it's been such a transformative experience that I can't go back. And so even when it's struggling, like when there's struggle and it's difficult and it's challenging, and like there's so many days where I fall short of like the life God wants me to live, but my goal is like my eyes are like attempting to every day decide to like, I'm going to set my eyes on things above. I'm going to choose to love God in the way that he initially loved me. And so it's literally an everyday decision, and sometimes I fall short and sometimes I follow through, but being encouraged in his grace and love for me to continue to like grow and like look more and more like the life that Jesus lived on earth, you know? And so, and being transformed to look more like him. So it's genuinely an every single day decision, and it's challenging at times, but it's it's so fruitful. I think that's the word.
Yeah.
It yields a lot of
Yes, it does.
growth, and not only for myself, but like for others, like to be able to, it's such an encouraging thing to know that, like, in knowing how flawed you are, but God being so powerful to be able to use you to be a light to others and share his truth. That is like one of the most encouraging things, and just speaks to like the glory of God and his power and his like, his might. I don't know how else to describe it. No,
that's pretty much what it is. I'm a believer too, of course, you know. I've assessed my relationship with Christ in so many different ways. And God always talks to me in analogies, always. And you brought up a moment ago, you know, basically we all fall short. You're gonna do something wrong. You're gonna decide a thing that you probably shouldn't. We sin in thought and in deed. So even if it's in your mind, you've already kind of fallen short. But you also said, and he still chooses to use me. He still chooses. I look at it as if I am manure. Okay? But if you give manure to a farmer, he's gonna grow everything necessary to maintain his farm. You know what I mean?
Dang,
so we are really manure. But without putting the manure to work, it's just manure. Until we accept the faith and understand, just like it says in Romans 12:2, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. Until you transform, you're just manure. And a lot of us have fallen to our own pride to not accept the fact that without being manure, you probably can't be used. You have to be manure for God. There has to be some mess going on, because otherwise he can't inject you into a situation and you change it. It's crazy. You need enough mess. You need a certain amount of mess for God to take you and put you in a situation and make something else grow while you're still mess. But what happens though, that manure, once you put it in the ground or you add it to those plants, you don't stay manure. You turn into nutrients. You turn into vitamins. You turn into, you know what I mean? That's and that's how it works. So, and oddly enough, I would not have known anything about the Christian community on this campus had it not been for you.
Thank God. Wow.
I wouldn't know anything about it. I'm serious.
Wow.
I had to speak at InterVarsity.
Yes.
And when I went in, the choir already blew me. I just wasn't expecting. I was blown. I just wasn't expecting it. And I can honestly say, I underestimated y'all when I walked in there. I did. Because I'm not used to it. I just wasn't used to it. Not that I was expecting less, but y'all just exceeded my expectations when it boiled down to it. Far beyond the singing. Once I saw the God in it, not just people who need something to do, let us go sing. There was a real God involved in it. And I was just extremely encouraged. And I still am. Even the fact that they consider me to still go and speak and do things, it is amazing, because now it's almost like, okay, I know I'm manure, but God, I'm watching you. I'm watching you put me and plant me in situations where something may grow.
100%.
And if it had not been for y'all, at least on this campus, I would not feel myself being used by him outside of the regular interactions I have in a day's time. That seemed much more intentional. And I'll say I credit you. I don't say I blame you. I credit you for exposing me to what God looks like on this campus. And that's always one of the things I look for in any environment. Where is God? Are you okay? I see the popular people. I see the bosses. I see, you know what I mean? I even see some of the more introverted people in this environment. Where is God? Because he's going to show me how to deal with the boss, the introvert, the extrovert. He guides me through this situation so I can walk in to see everything else. If I don't see him, I'm still lost. You know what I mean? So you have to intentionally look, and that's a decision. That's a real life decision to go into an environment and expect to perceive it on your own, or will you let God walk you through it? It's your choice. But there is a decision to make the longer you stay in that environment. Because the thing that you don't impact will end up impacting you. So you got to take what power you have and put it in the room. Real quick. You got to get it in there real quick, because if somebody misjudges or misreads who they think they see, they're going to try something with somebody they don't even know. You know what I mean? But if you walk in and you let God lead you through how to kind of maneuver and manipulate situations, I find it to be easier. And now that I know where the God is on campus, it makes everything much more possible. You know what I mean? That's just how it works. It just makes everything more possible. I have one last question. Would you say, or not would you say, how do you think you've changed over the last 4 years? Like this is your senior year. What decisions would you have made 4 years ago that you know for a fact, oh no, I couldn't dare do that or act that way or think that? Not that you have to be specific, but you know what I mean? Like what are some of those core changes that you know for a fact you felt maybe by sophomore year, junior year, whatever, you know? What has changed?
That's crazy, because I was kind of just, I was thinking about something this morning that's similar to that, because the concept that like, I can't believe I'm in a place that I get to experience conviction. And so for like conviction, like being the idea that like, I believe that is the Holy Spirit, Spirit of God guiding me and leading me and leading me to look more like him. That feeling of like, this doesn't feel right. This is not the life God has called me to, or that decision probably isn't the best decision to make. And the fact that like God teaches me, and I have God has built up that conscience within me and like shaped me by his word is something that is so surreal to me. I was literally just praying about this because I was like, I can't believe that like I've seen, as a big part of like the walk and getting to know God is reading the Bible, reading his word. And like knowing the power in that, the truth in that. And so as I've learned to be more and more consistent in my word throughout my years here, and I remembered making that decision, I think it was winter break of sophomore year, of like, oh, I need to take this seriously. Like I need to like this even dive deeper. This is like, there is power in reading his word. Like this is not a here and there. This is like an everyday decision I need to make. And the growth from there was exponential. Like it like transformed so much. And so I would say a big thing of like a product of these 4 years and those small decisions along the way to push myself and challenge myself according to God's word has, I think like the tangible thing I can see is like my conscious and how I think about the world has changed. Like it's my mindset to like try to love others better, or to like just fight against my instincts. That's it. To fight against my human
natural
nature,
carnal instincts.
That within itself, like I don't think as like those like identify as Christians, like that's not something to take for granted. Previous to this, like I could care less. Like if I was feeling some type of way about a person or this or that, it wasn't a second thought. It was just like, I feel that way, that's okay. I say this thing, it's okay. Like outside of maybe like cultural things taught of like respect or this and that. There isn't much intrinsically that motivated me to do certain things.
Care enough or even,
And so seeing that in the time of these past 4 years, God like chipping away at those things in my heart, and that these things aren't like as automatic anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are, that like I'm able to catch them. That's like one of the most tangible ways I've seen God work in my heart, and that I've seen myself change.
That's good.
Yeah. So some of those things are just not, I catch them now, and I have a desire to change.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I don't want to be this way.
That's
I do not. Like the fact that I have, that's the word. Also a distaste. I've built a distaste for things that don't align with the word of God. I still struggle sometimes and go back to things I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But like there's a general distaste for things that I once had a taste for. And so I think that's like the biggest thing that I can say I've seen transformation in. Like just like it's built a desire in me to pursue God more and more and more. And that like floods into every part of my life, whether that's like in academics, like how can I honor God in my academics? How can I honor God in how I interact with people? How can I honor God in my extracurriculars? Like in the things I do, how I spend my time, all of these things, it's began to like infiltrate all of those things, if that makes sense. So
no, that's good. Well, God, you can't. I remember saying this in one of the choir rehearsals.
Yeah.
God is too big not to impact everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to let him in, that small corner you thought you could keep to yourself, no, I fit there too. That has to go.
He's going to find
You're going to have to sweep that out.
Yeah.
You're going to have to move that chair out the way that nobody's using, that you shouldn't be sitting in. He's going to impact every space.
Yes, 100%.
So there's no way possible he's going to leave a part of you alone. Now, it's a progression.
Yes.
It's a process to it.
Yes.
But once he gets to moving, everything has to move.
Yeah.
Everything has to move. And that is that's encouraging. It's crazy. I've done that same self-assessment since I've been working here in this mailroom. And one thing I know for a fact God has given me since I've been in the mailroom is patience. He has given me patience, because when that resident walks up to the window and for some reason we don't have their package or their letter, you start to see a different side of them. And I have found myself feeding them with that same energy. I found myself coming back because and I know that when I come back with that energy, mine might be a bit worse than the energy I'm getting. You know what I mean? Mine may come off because now it's like a battle. It's a battle, but what I don't, or what I didn't, or wasn't consistently conscious enough to realize is when that resident walks up to that window and asks for that particular package, and they're upset about it, you're not dealing with them, you're dealing with their issue. Who knows what was in that box or in that letter? That may be the difference between peace and sorrow to them. You just don't know. So once I start to empathize a bit more and realize, okay, well, they apparently need these things. Now you have some who come up and then, that's not the case. They just want what they want when they want it, how they want it. And I've even learned to even deal with them, correctly. But without God being present, I'm not consistently conscious enough. Like you said, we can be impulsive. Your instincts will say, go right back at them. But God has to kind of tap you on. My dad told me a long time ago. When it comes to doing what you're supposed to do, God can either grab you by your hand or grab you by your neck. But you're going. Once you've accepted him for who he is, and the fact that you say you're going to follow, when you decide you want to stop following, just walk off, God can't let you now because you vowed to. So it's either by your hand or by your neck, but you're going. Never to destroy you. That's never his point. But he keeps us conscious of the promises we keep. And I think that's a good thing. This has been an absolute pleasure, Soliana. I'm serious.
Pleasure for me too.
I'm serious. And I don't know if you'll go on to be Surgeon General. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
But I do know one thing. I have no choice but to expect the good from the God in you.
Yeah.
Nothing. You will have down moments. Things will not be always easy.
Yeah.
But if I have to think of you after you've graduated and gone on to do what you have to do, if you cross my mind, I'm going to say to myself, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure God got her exactly where she." I mean, some people you got to question. I wonder if they're doing all right, because I don't really know how, But I don't have to worry about that when it comes to you. I know God He's in it somewhere. He's in it. And when He's in it, you can win it. That's fine.
Thank God. That is very encouraging. Thank you so much.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm probably going to... quick question. Rate Hopkins from 1 to 10.
Woo.
Your experiences, everything from 1 to 10. Because you're a senior. You got to have a full view.
Yes.
You don't have to explain why. Mm-hmm. I'm just doing a random Rate Hopkins from 1 to 10.
With these things, the issue is that I'm generally an optimistic person, and if I can see the purpose in it,
that's fine.
Okay. Hopkins was what I needed to.
For what you got out of it, your experiences.
Okay.
And what was put into you.
Yes. I would say at least an 8 out of 10, if not higher. Probably a 9 out of 10.
That's good.
I think I've seen the purpose. I think I'm able to rate it as high as it was because of, even in the hardship, I've seen the purpose and the outcomes of it.
Yeah.
And the ways it's began to shape me.
It made sense.
And so because it makes sense, and I see at least I'm beginning to see some of the larger picture, then I can appreciate it for what it is.
Good.
But if I wasn't able to see the purpose in it,
that's good.
That rating would be much, much lower.
Yeah.
It would be much lower. But
that's actually a good answer, because the rating is supposed to be based on the purpose.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be based on. The reason, not what you've experienced while you were here solely. Yeah. But do you understand the reason why you experienced while you were here? Mm-hmm. That's what it boils down to. Yeah. When you can say, when you can match your experiences and say, "Oh, I see why that happened," even if it's in hindsight. Yeah. And that's why it's good to ask a senior such as yourself, because you've been here for 4 years. You've had the opportunity to be at the beginning and end of some situations. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if you can see the reasoning behind it, that's exactly where your rating a rating should never come out of ignorance or opinion. Mm. It should be based on what you factually or truthfully experienced in a place. And in order to give a rating like that, you have to be honest with yourself. Yeah. You have to be honest with yourself about what really happened. Yeah. What I really got out of it, what it really put into me. Mm-hmm. So Soliana says 9. I'm staff, so I don't count. Yeah. Y'all don't want my rating. Even though it's pretty good, I'm not gonna give mine. Yeah. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I thank y'all for joining, watching, whatever. If y'all see Soliana in the street, speak, say hi, say God bless you, encourage her. Oh. Your encouragement won't even go to waste. She'll probably even use that. But thank y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. One thing I always say when it's all over, we are always one thought away from changing our lives for the rest of our lives if we only believe it. So be careful what you think. Thank you. That's true. Thank you.